Hello.
Hello.
Mike, this is your
Hi.
interview. So we just wanted to say hello and thank you very much for doing this interview with us. Really
Not a problem.
appreciate it. So we've got a few questions just to ask you. I hope you're comfortable with them
Yeah, I'm
and
all
that we can
any
ask you anything
Yep.
because
I
that's how
love
we
it.
work.
Yeah, we're putting Mike in the hot seat.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Um, so I know that Victoria knows a lot about your backstory, but I really don't know anything. And like the viewers, who are watching right now don't know who you are either. So we thought we can start by you telling us just a little bit about yourself and what brought you to bariatric surgery and how far out you are now.
Okay. Um. Well, I was born in '67. I've been big in all pretty much most of my life. I was, uh, always like the biggest kid. Last to be picked in most sports other than football. um. Uh. Worked my way into high school, and I actually became very active in football and wrestling, and I actually started working out a lot. Did a lot of strange things that I shouldn't have done with my weightlifting career. Um, Blew a shoulder out when I was in high school, and never really fully recovered from it. Uh, After that, it was not as much working out anymore, and then just still eating as much as I used to. I When I graduated from high school, I was 325 pounds. Progressed through my 20s, a lot of bad decisions, uh, alcohol, drug abuse, um, just and constantly eating during it. Uh, I'm not going to blame my family for a lot of this because I could. I mean, I had a very abusive father. I had an alcoholic father. That There was a time where myself and my father almost went to blows, and I almost killed my father. Um, and I hid a lot of my anger through a lot of vices. Um, and then, like somewhere around about my late 20s, I kind of woke up, realized that I was, basically killing myself.
Yeah.
Stopped pretty much the drinking, stopped pretty much the drugs, but food became the comforter.
Crutch.
So, I would say probably when I was, when I was 30, I was probably in my fives. My 40s, I probably was floating around
Oh,
uh,
as in like 100 pounds, correct?
600 pounds. Yes.
Yeah.
Before I started to transition, right before my mom died in
Mm.
19, I was kind of going through the motions of trying to start the bariatric process. Um, Realized I wasn't mentally ready for it.
Mm.
Kind of went off the wagon again, and the weight that I did lose, I regained it. Um, I got back up to 675 pounds, and I physically could not start to do my job, and that started to worry me. Um, and I was becoming a burden on Audrey, my wife, and I was being a burden on a lot of people. And I realized that if I did not make the change then, I would be dead within about a year, and I
Yeah.
knew
Mm.
it. And then my mom passed. Kind of had a little bit of a hiccup there, and then in September of 19, Audrey was given an opportunity to get bariatric surgery. And I'm like, well, if you're going to do it, I'm going to do it. We'll do it together. Because I always have been told that usually the divorce rate between people that get the surgery and family members that do not, husbands and wives, the divorce rate is like 80%. And I'm like, we're not going down that road. I want to be able to, support her and know what she's going through at the same time. Plus, on the other hand, it's gonna add to my health benefits. So, in 2019 to December, um, I had the surgery done. At the time, I think I weighed 625 during the surgery. I wanted to get the bypass, but I was too fat. Go figure. Um, yeah, to be actually, this is how fat I was. I was actually told I was too fat to get the bypass surgery,
And me.
and I was told that the only surgery I could have was a sleeve. I'm like,
Yeah, and me.
So
how fat do
basically,
you have to be for that? I'm sorry. Again, it's just
no, it's just funny that it's just ironic. You're too fat for the fat reduction surgery. Like, what are you supposed to do with that? Like,
yeah. And how are you supposed to react? You go like, "Gee, doc, thanks, appreciate
yeah. Well,
it."
and if it makes you feel better, I remember when I was going through the surgery and talking to my doctor about it, I had asked him, like, what's the difference between, like, why do
Mm,
people do the sleeve versus the bypass? And he was saying that when they were first coming out with the bypass, there was no sleeve at the time, but the original bypass surgery was in two stages.
Mhm.
Stage one was the sleeve, and then after a certain period of time, then you went and had the bypass. But they were noticing decades ago that people were getting all of these results just from the sleeve portion and
sleep.
never had to flip over to phase two. So I guess in theory, it almost kind of makes sense why they had you doing the sleeve. Because I think back then, not everybody or anybody can just go and get bariatric surgery decades ago. You had to be at a certain number, like there was no other like
Mm,
option for
that's
you.
right.
So that's just, I wonder if that's why. That has to be why.
Yeah, ultimately, and the thing is that and a lot of people are like, they call BS on this. My BMI at the time of my surgery was like 165. Everybody's like, "Oh, you can't
Mm.
be over 100." I'm like, "No, you can be over 100. Yes, you can."
I am.
And I was living proof. I
Yeah.
mean, and then so I had the surgery. I had made a lot of lifestyle changes before the surgery. I mean, I had basically had quit tobacco use because I was told if I had any tobacco in my system, I was never going to get the surgery. Um, and then we, we started eating not properly, excuse me, but counting the calories a lot better. I mean, learning if you go to McDonald's, if you really want to cheat at McDonald's, you buy a hamburger, one hamburger, triple pickle, no, I don't like onions, so triple pickle because you're not getting the cheese. It is 205 calories.
Huh.
It's the one cheat at McDonald's. If you want a McDonald's, don't go to Burger King because
I
there ain't
remember that.
nothing like that at Burger King. Okay. Because Burger King somehow their buns are a lot worse than McDonald's buns. But again, it's one of those things that if you want to cheat, I knew how to cheat. I wanted to go in and go,
Yeah.
okay, if I'm only allowed 1,200 calories a day, and that's what I was before the surgery, they got down to where I was only allowed 1,200 calories a day. So my
Mm.
morning was protein drink for 80, protein drink for lunch for 80, and then that other 800 calories was all into like finding something that I would like to eat.
Yeah. But I have to ask you, like, what about, because we're going to assume that for you to have gotten up to 675 pounds, you're consuming a lot of calories every single day,
Oh,
whether
geez,
it's
Cool.
I was consuming over 10,000 calories a day.
so that's my question is mentally, how do you go through such a drastic transition from over 10,000 calories a day to 1,200?
You look yourself in the mirror and you go, "Do you want to die?"
Well, I mean, that could,
Mm.
And that's what it was. There was no other choice. I needed to make. I made a concerted effort. And I said, after my mom passed, I promised my mom before she passed that I would find a way to lose this weight.
Mm.
And I've stuck to that promise from that point on.
Mm.
And like everyone's like, well, you should go get skin removal. No, why I want no why this is one of the reasons why I don't want skin removal. Number one, as long as it doesn't affect my health, which
right.
can, okay, I'm not going to get rid of it because know what that is? That is a reminder of
Yeah.
where I was. And the thing is that everybody's like, well, people body shame you. you know what? I can give two craps about people body shaming. I'm trying to not
Yeah.
swear, okay, guys? So
Yeah. Don't worry about it. We're everything here. No bullshit.
but I also know too is that you know, and that's one of the things is I didn't do it for anybody else. I did it for myself. I mean, I did it to make sure that I would be around for Audrey. Okay,
Yeah.
you know, and because my family's like my family's death number is in the 60s. Okay,
Right.
most of my dad died and he was like 56. I mean, my grandfather died of the widowmaker. Both of my grandfathers, my one grandfather, my dad's dad, he died when he was 64 of black
Right.
lung and cardiac arrest. My mom's dad died of the widowmaker. All right, we don't last that long. Okay,
Okay.
and any way I can hedge a bet to stay on this earth a little bit longer,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to.
Gonna do it.
So then, so post surgery, struggled with a lot of stalls, and I know, you know, Victoria there and I have had discussion with my stalls because it's like I would lose like a grandiose amounts of weight up until like probably month 3, and then month 3 I went through this like really divisive stall, which I almost got like really disheartened about the whole process.
You do.
And then I realized that um, my body had finally caught up. My body was in starvation mode. And I had talked to I talked to the nurse practitioner for my doctor. I talked to, and I still keep in contact with him. I got like in a couple weeks here in June, I got my year and a half will come up.
Oh, great.
But I still make appointments with him because I want to discuss things that are kind of going on and different
Mm-hmm.
aspects of, you know, what potentially is past that I need to kind of get off of, you know, and they've been really
That's
good,
good.
and I give kudos to the doctor that did my surgery. He's amazing. Um, but so as as I go through these stalls, I realize that sometimes I need to reset. And then I had come up with and this is something I talked to Victoria about quite a bit, it's called the 5 pound rule. You know, and if I gain 5 pounds, I go through a reset. I reset back to what I first did before the diet, before
I'm
the
doing that
surgery,
now.
and I constantly will reset if I hit that 5 pound mark. You know,
Mm.
because I know that something I'm doing needs to be reconditioned back into what I
Mm.
need to do. You
Yeah.
know, and I think a lot of people that go through the surgery forget. They get so
Mm.
comfortable with the fact that, well, I've lost all this weight and I can do this and I can do that. Well, there's a point in time where if you're cheating to the, simple way of looking at a cheat. Okay,
Mm.
I can go to McDonald's and get a burger for 250 calories. Okay,
Mm.
that same person can go to McDonald's and get a McFlurry for 5,000 calories.
Yeah.
Hello, how y'all
Yeah.
doing? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I
Yeah.
only had a McFlurry. Yeah, it's 5,000 calories. Are you
Yeah.
doing anything to burn it off? No,
Yeah.
thanks, appreciate
No.
it. Yeah, you know, and and and
Mm.
and like I said before,
That's the
and
difference.
like I told Victoria earlier, I'm not one of these people that take, I don't know, positive feedback, because here's the funny thing, and ultimately, and it's still the one thing that always burns in my head. My goal before this all started was to get to 325. Okay, I am 27 pounds away from that, which is going to be the hardest goal. It's going to be the hardest 27 pounds left. We
Yeah.
all know that. Okay,
Yeah.
Mm.
but here's the kicker. When I go to the doctor, he's still going to say I'm morbidly obese.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So on one hand, I have lost on an
Yeah.
average. If once I hit the 325 goal, I would lose 350 pounds total.
Yeah. Amazing.
Okay,
It's
but
just
here's the point:
incredible.
I've lost 2 human beings, but I'm still morbidly obese.
Yeah.
That's like the running gag of this whole thing. And
Mm.
I feel bad for people because especially people that have started from my weight. I mean, because we're never going to be considered thin. We're never. I mean, it doesn't matter what we're going to be doing. We'll always be considered fat, and that
You know what my
there is such a
daughter says?
disturbing
Do
issue.
you know Sophie, Mike?
Yes,
Do you know what Sophie says to me? Oh, you're like a normal fat person now.
and that
Thanks.
hurts. Excuse the language.
Yeah.
That's
It's like,
such a
thanks.
kick. That's such a kick in the nads. It's
Yeah.
such a kick in the nads, and you're like, what the hell am I doing? And then you have to start questioning yourself, and that lies the bigger problem. I mean, we sit there and we try to rationalize what we're doing, and then we get one comment of, well, you've lost all this weight, but you're still kind of chubby. Okay.
Yeah.
And ultimately, and this is where, and like when I woke up from my issues in my 20s, I realized one thing. I'm tired of listening to what people say about me.
Yeah.
And I think that the one thing that we struggle with the most, and like I've told you, Victoria, in the past, we are our own worst nightmares.
Worst enemy.
We are, we will cheat, connive, tell us that we're fine. Oh yeah, you can have that donut. It's not that big of a deal. And then you have another one. You're like, oh, well, you know what? I can have another one. We'll be fine. And then you're like, then 2-3 minutes later, you're having a purge party, because you had too much sugar. But again, I've come to the conclusion that the only person I got to help, the only person I got to satisfy is the person in the mirror. If I'm happy with what I am, and I'm fine. I can give two craps what anybody has to say about it.
Everybody else thinks.
Because most people will come up to me and go, oh my God, you've lost so much weight. I'm like, yeah, and you finally actually going to talk to me about that? Because what? You didn't talk to me when I was 325 pounds bigger, I was too fat? Stupid people.
Yeah, I get that.
Tori and I have talked about that in the past too, how when you're at your heaviest, people don't really make comments about it, but that there's comments being made about it. And it's not
stickers.
Yeah. And then it's not until you start losing the weight that's the first thing that people say. Wow, you've lost a lot of weight. That tells me you've been paying attention this whole time. You just didn't want to hurt my feelings. You just kept your mouth shut now. And I feel like for me, that created more of this awkward stigma. Like that means like how much has really been said behind my back that all of a sudden now I'm less jarring. So I'm more worthy of your attention and your conversation.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's ultimately why I stopped listening to people. I mean, and
I've only just learned that one.
Because I can tell you right now, here's the I stopped going to places in public because I knew I'd get the snickers. I knew I was getting the, oh my God, he's going to the Chinese buffet. And then it's like, you're looking at the people and you're like, yeah, you're just going to go up there because, you may get 2 plates on you. They're like, oh my God, he's going up for a 9th or 10th plate. He's got to be. And I'm like, I don't want to hear this crap. And nowadays, I mean, Jesus Christ, I don't go to buffets because I know damn well I'm only going to put like 3 things on the plate. I'm going to be full.
Yeah.
So it's like,
opposite.
But again, I was so subconscious or very conscious about what eating around people. I would not want to. We would go to like company outings and stuff like that. I wouldn't eat. I wouldn't eat because I would be. I didn't want to be viewed as the fat guy eating.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then I would go home and get a pizza and then just draw my sorrows.
McDonald's on the way home.
How stupid is that?
100%. Or you would go out in public and you would have like your side salad with your dressing.
Oh yeah. You're having that Diet Coke and a side salad and eating like a rabbit, going, I'm not that bad. No,
I would rather
not the food.
I would rather people see me from afar at a restaurant and be like, at least she's trying.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got that 30-piece of nuggets, but he's having a Diet Coke. He's fine.
Right. The Diet Coke is okay because that makes you healthier.
Yeah.
And so You know what's crazy is, and you're so right, I don't know what the actual percentages are, but I've talked to a lot of people um who've dealt with bariatric surgery and relationships, and I was blown away at how common it was that relationships ended, and the divorce rates and the breakups were so high. Like, that blew me away. Now, I
Mm.
will say, like, in my case, Eric and I were both over 350 pounds at one point. Eric was closer to 400. Now, he didn't have the surgery, but in him being supportive of my journey and trying to be there for me, over time, I think it was enough. Like, he ended up motivating himself, because I could be motivating till I'm blue in the face. Until you yourself want change for yourself is when you're going to do it. So now Eric, over the last few years on his own, has lost like over 160, 70 pounds or something like
Mm.
that.
Awesome.
And he's getting into
Yeah.
like working out and stuff. But the point being is, I think it really helps when you guys are on the same page as far as like trying to be healthier, even if it's two different journeys. I think it
Mm.
makes couples so much stronger when they're in it together, because there was a time long before surgery where I would be motivated to, I was like, okay, I'm tired of looking in the mirror. I'm going to go start working out. And Eric's not there. So he's watching TV. I'm like, hey, come for a walk with me. No, like, I don't want to do that. And then like there becomes like almost like this irritation. Like, why don't you want to be healthier with me? And then over time, then I fall off the wagon and I get depressed. And then all of a sudden he's all motivated and he's on this health kick and he wants to get me out. And I'm like,
They're just not, yeah.
yeah, like, you're just not in sync. And we did that for years.
Well, ultimately, too, it comes down to this, and this is the one thing and it's a crap thing to say. It's because of caregiver syndrome. When you
That
become
is
that,
true of
when
me.
you become that fat to where you can't wash certain areas, you can't
Yeah.
put
Mm-hmm.
socks on, you can't, you can't physically get up to cook anymore, um, and that your partner becomes that caregiver,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you're a
and
burden, you
they
feel.
become used to it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go get the surgery, and now you're starting, oh, I'll go get that, and they start going, well, wait a minute, why aren't you letting me do this anymore?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I think they get thrown for a loop because
Yeah.
you're now becoming more productive,
Independent.
and they
Yeah.
don't know how to act to it. And I think ultimately therein lies the bigger problem. I think
Mm.
that is the ultimate, kind of like backlash you get from your partner, because your partner doesn't understand, that,
Mm.
you know, and then well, and here's the other thing too. You're starting to get people talking to you, and you're like, and then the other partner's going like, well, who the hell was that? I'm like, I don't know. They just said that they all look good. I mean, and then, and again, there's the jealous end of it, and that's why I think that when my wife and I kind of went through the same process, I mean, it kind of put us both on the same path, because we were both going to lose the weight, we were both going to get healthier, and we both done that. I mean, and I think it's kind of grown us a little bit more together as we
Mm.
have gone on this journey, because we both can see that we've had some successes. You know, is she where she wants to be? Yeah, probably. I mean, but she would like to be on a little bit more and kind of keep where she wants to be. Am I where I'm at? No, I still want to keep going.
Yeah.
But we're both still within that same trajectory of
Mm.
trying to succeed at this. Um,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
you go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, I was saying I actually have a question for you, because I remember when Eric and I would rarely be on the same page, and I think we were doing keto together, the Whole30 or juicing or whatever. We were doing it at the same time. Now, men naturally will lose weight quicker or in a shorter period of time, sometimes with women because of hormones and stuff like that. So there would, and it wasn't his fault, but for me, there would become like almost like this competition and almost like this resentment. Why is he getting, we're doing the same thing. Why is he getting results and I'm not? I'm curious, because even though I don't know Audrey's story yet as to like how high she was before surgery and stuff like that, but were there ever elements of, I don't want to say necessarily competition,
Yes,
but kind of like
I know
competition?
exactly what you're going with. Yeah,
All right, give it to me.
there was a competitive issue.
There
Um,
was. Okay.
The problem is that in that, like I explained to her, okay, I was coming from a 600 number. She was
Right.
coming from a 300 number. Okay. Um, my first couple months, I lost probably about 100 to almost like first 3 months, I lost over 100 pounds.
Wow.
Okay.
Amazing.
But the thing is, I was still over 500 pounds.
Right. Right.
So, ta-da! Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and she's struggling with only losing 30 or 40 pounds. And I'm like, honey, okay, double the mass,
Right.
body, it's, and the one warning I would give to anybody that is going to do it together with a partner, okay, and this is the one thing that a lot of people struggle with. It's not about the number. It's
It's not.
never about the number. It's about the number is a goal. That's all it is. It is really just a goal. I mean, do you want to get to that number? Yeah, you sure do want to get to that number. And when you do get to that number, you're like, fuck yeah, okay. But it cannot be about the number. It has to be about the health goals that you've done. What you are physically able to do now than you weren't able to do a year. Like me, I'm a year and a half out. I mean, I'm able to like walk into places. I'm able to go, and now mind you, I can go and I feel bad for Audrey because Audrey does all the shopping, and the struggle of going into I go to a convenient and I pass that candy bar aisle. I'm like, yeah, that's gotta suck. Absolutely suck. And I felt bad for Audrey because Audrey did all of her shopping.
Yeah.
Even after the surgery, she did all the shopping. And it's one of those things you just, I didn't realize it until I was able to start walking into places going, man, this sucks.
Yeah. That was us today. We went to Target and we were walking around the aisles and I'm doing this challenge. So I'm like, there's no cheat meals, there's no candy, there's no nothing. And and like you look in front of you and it was the entire Easter
The
display.
wall of Easter
Yes.
eggs and candy.
Easter.
The jelly beans.
It was diabetes aisle. And I'm like, I just want one candy bar. And because I've just been Instacarting a lot of groceries lately because I've been working from home and like the last few days I've been sick. So I haven't been in front of all of the temptation. And that was just this wall of diabetes. And I'm like, oh, I would just love a little diabetes today.
Yeah, unfortunately, and I think
That
that's
leads to everything else.
that's ultimately the other bigger struggles is that you have to watch is that
Yeah.
when you're when you're when you're when you're starting to get healthy, that's when the demons start to come.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like and again, and like I've said earlier, is that it's the surgery is not the cure all. It's not the magic pill. It never will be the magic pill. We will always struggle with the demon that we've all dealt with, which is food.
Right.
I mean, and it is a very powerful demon because that demon does not want to like relinquish. And the thing is, you have to eat no matter what, because if you stop eating, you die. But the thing is you got to learn how to make that right choice and not eat as much, and try to figure out where those lines you cannot cross.
Right.
And and I feel bad because I watch people on one of the Cleveland sites that I'm on, and everyone's like, well, I've only lost 30 pounds in the first like month and a half. I'm like, that's a lot of weight, and don't worry about it, it'll come. And they're like, what am I doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong. It's gonna happen.
I hate when I see that in the groups too. They're like, I'm 1 month out from surgery and I only lost 26 pounds. And I'm like, in what universe before surgery did you ever lose 26 pounds and bitch about it? Like,
yeah.
And I think
You can go do the paleo diet and you're still not going to lose that much pounds in 1 month.
No,
that's right.
And I try to tell people, look, there's so many other variables. You can look at somebody like Mike who might have lost 30 pounds in the first week and a half. And someone's like, oh my God, how come I can't do that? Because you weren't at the same weight as him. You weren't at the same age. You didn't have the same body type, the genetic. Everybody's differently. But you lost 26 pounds in a month. Why are you not celebrating that? I think that we're just so conditioned to compare ourselves to how other people's journeys are, or
Yeah, I
you
was
see
going to say it's comparing.
amazing transformations and then you feel like almost inadequate that you're not at the same level. You're not supposed to be, you're supposed to be at your level. You've never
Right.
looked that way before and now you did.
Well, it's like right now there's a little animosity between my wife and I, is that she's almost to her goal and I'm still not there yet. And we,
Mm.
she's only maybe a month or about 6 weeks ahead of me, from the surgery. And I sit there and every once in a while and again, I mean, it's just like, okay. But
Yeah.
I think we both don't want to step on each other's toes either. I mean,
Mm.
is that
Of course
she's
not.
always afraid that, oh, look, I'm in a size 6, and she goes, well, I'm not trying to throw it in front of you. I'm like, babe, you need to be excited about it.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
not throwing it in my face. And I think that's too is a struggle with people that are together, is that you want to be supportive, but if you've gone through the surgery and you're not hitting that goal as quickly as your partner is,
Mm.
and your partner's all excited about it, you got to put on that face and be excited for them, because guess what, folks,
Hmm.
you'll come.
I'm really lucky because Stu is like that. He's so supportive. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
if I do anything, he's just like, wow, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky.
yeah,
But that
but
struggle is real though, because there were times when I was not on board and Eric was on this workout regimen, and all of a sudden you're
Mm.
seeing his clothes feeling better, or he moved down a belt notch or something like that, and he's so excited. And like you're in. I was always supportive. I was always excited, but then on my end,
Mm.
there was a part of me that was jealous.
oh yeah,
But you don't want to let that on. And then on their end, it's like they want to share their excitement. You're
Feel
married,
guilty.
but you feel guilty because you don't want to be too braggy about it. And it's like, no, you should brag. You should be proud. But but like it's hard. It's definitely a struggle at times, and that's why it's
Yeah.
so good when you guys are on the same journey together. Even if you guys are doing different things, the fact that you're on the same road together, I think, really helps that you guys can support each other. And just like you said, Mike, Audrey was not at the same weight as you during the surgery.
yeah,
So if she got to her goals, it doesn't mean that you're not getting there.
yeah. I mean,
You
and again, like like I told her, there's a lot of unpleasant looking pictures of us a year and a half ago, and
Yeah.
we come across them and it's
Looking
like,
now.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but again, and everybody, I posted the picture, I think, in the chat room yesterday of my transition, because I shaved, um, and I used to have a
I
beard,
said that, yeah.
yeah, but it's my weigh-in face. I mean, this is when I first started the process. I shaved before the surgery, took a picture that night, and ever since then when I shave my face, I take the picture, and you can see the transition from, the day after, a couple weeks after the surgery
Mm.
to now. You can see where my face is just completely different than it was,
Mm.
and, I've talked to Victoria many times, is that I can see it in my face, but I don't see it where I want to see it.
Yeah.
Mm.
My stomach is still there. My stomach is still
Yeah.
a part of the problem,
I'm the
but
same.
and you just you get, I don't know, you beat yourself up. Again, we are our own worst enemy.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
We are. Yeah, we are.
Then other than that, yeah, it's about the gist of my world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No,
did
it's good.
Audrey have the bypass or the sleeve?
She had the bypass.
Okay, so she had the bypass and you had the sleeve.
I had the sleeve. Yeah, because she was able to get the bypass, and she struggles more with intake. I mean, things that, like, was it today? She
Water.
had something that just didn't sit right with her, and plus she ended up having her gallbladder taken out too. So that was another issue that is kind of the back tail of a nightmare. So
Yeah.
Mm.
So
We'll get her story.
because we haven't really talked to any guys that have had this surgery. So compared to like Audrey, did you guys have similar recovery or food experiences? And then were there anything that were vastly different than maybe stuff that Audrey experienced that you never did, or vice versa?
Hormones.
Audrey had a lot of pain in the stomach, but that was because I think it was a different surgery because what they did, it was more invasive. Mine was more of, I had my 5 scars, and
Yeah.
then I one that, when the, it's like you got the scar here where they put the scope in, you got the scar here where they put the scope in, and then you have the scar here where they yank that thing out and throw it to the
Yep.
so but I didn't go through a lot of pain. She was in a lot of pain for about a good week and a half. I kind of was, but again, it's like maybe it's pain tolerance, but the difference between her and I, and the bigger difference is that since I was so big, they put me on blood thinner shots for
Yeah, I was
almost
on
a month and a
those.
half.
Really?
I had to take
Oh,
I had to
really?
take 2
That
shots a
long?
day for a month and a half.
Mm.
So I was out of work for over a month and a half because I refused to go to work with blood thinners in my system, especially
Yeah.
since it was the shot. Because because they were so afraid of me throwing a clot because of my weight.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, same.
And yeah, that was kind of a happy
Mm.
go. Hey, you're gonna have to give yourself shots. Hey, don't really want to. Hey, your stomach's bruised the hell up. I'm like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So Victoria, you were on blood thinners too?
I was on blood thinners too for 1 week, and I used to have to inject myself once a day.
Yep.
And as you say, the bruises everywhere, all over your stomach. You're
Yeah,
trying to
you
find
almost run
another
out of space just
space.
to actually jab yourself. It
That's
really would
it.
just
Yeah, trying to
because
find another
on
space.
top of the fact you have a blood thinner you're putting in your system,
Yeah.
and if it sits on the top, if it sits near your skin at all, it actually bruises.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I
hey,
know
how y'all
that
doing?
face.
Yeah, but I guess I don't understand. Like, what is the potential side effect of the surgery? Like, what causes
The
the need to
clotting.
have a
Because
kind
the
of
clotting, the clot, your body, our body does not clot as well because we were so big, and the thing is that my family history kind of warranted it.
Yeah,
And
mine too.
they also, they were really afraid. There's something I can't remember, but they were afraid I was going to come out of anesthesia real well. They thought they were going to have to like ventilate me, and I'm like,
Mm.
yeah, don't you dare. If I'm gonna die on the table, I'm gonna die on the table.
yeah.
Mm. Mm.
That's so funny because I don't remember ever needing any kind of blood thinners. I remember the morning of surgery, they test you for MRSA or something
Yes.
like that, and I guess I tested positive, and I'm like, what is that? What is MRSA? And the nurse was sweet. She goes, it just means you get your own room, and I'm like, well, then doesn't everybody want MRSA? Like, everybody else? Like, this is amazing. They're like, I mean, no, it's not really a very good thing. And so the only like additional thing I had to do is I had to use like this antiseptic, stuff for a few whatever, just as a precaution. But I don't remember needing any.
I remember having to shower in
Yep.
all this stuff.
There's
Yeah.
a certain soap that you had to use.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And the nurse would come in with
Were
masks.
you frightened then before your surgery, Mike? How
Huh?
did you feel before your surgery, like going into it, waiting room? How were you feeling? Because obviously you said, oh, if I die on the table, I die on the table. But were you like that? Like blasé?
I have it. I have a video uploaded somewhere
Mm.
of my last will, the day of the surgery. That if I
You
didn't come
both
out,
have.
Mhm.
I basically told this video basically told Audrey that I loved her and my time was over, and I have no regrets.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think a lot of us that go into this surgery have that video somewhere.
I didn't. I was crazy. I was just like, yeah.
Well, you were drugged up by the time you got to go in there.
I was just absolutely crazy. I was just so excited. I didn't even think of the complications or
Well, no, because they
implications.
freaked me out because they almost didn't let me do the surgery because they couldn't do an echocardiogram, or was it the cardiac test? They couldn't do one
Right.
on because
Oh,
I couldn't walk on the treadmill. I couldn't
Uh,
go into the machine because the machine was too I was too big for the machine.
right.
So I got lucky. Someone lied to put me on the table because
Oh my
I looked at the
God.
lady. I'm like, you better lie because if I don't get this surgery, I'm going to come down and hunt somebody. And she somebody must have lied somewhere because guess what? They put me on. They did every precaution and God loved Dr. Abbas. This is the doctor that did the surgery.
Yeah.
He walked in that morning when they were prepping me, and he said 2 words to me. I'll get you. No, a couple words, more than two. He goes, "I'll get you through this." That's all he said.
Oh.
I love
I
that.
said, "Trust
And
you,
then
doc.
you have
Thanks."
faith. Yeah,
It
and then
because
you've got the faith.
and he goes, if things head south, you will wake up without the surgery. And I'm like,
Mm.
well, if anything, I'll make sure my heart's beating while I'm sleeping.
Okay.
You
So
give my heart a good talking to.
Oh.
Like you do what you.
Yeah.
yeah, just keep pumping. We're good. But
Yeah.
I think ultimately, and we all fear it. I mean, and I think we all fear that change. But once you make the change, then it's nose to the grindstone time. And
Yeah.
Mm.
I think a lot of people, some people that and I hear that the only 5% of the people are successful long
Mm.
term with this
Okay.
surgery. I mean that fear that comment there fears me because I
Yeah.
know that I've seen people that I've seen people that have gone through the surgery and then have come back
Mm-hmm.
and they are even bigger.
Yeah.
And your body, because your body's
And
like,
I'm not
hey, you
prepared to
know
be
what?
like
You still
that.
have all that skin. Let's just keep mounting on in there.
Yeah.
But I think too is that we need to make sure that and this is one thing I don't have a problem reaching out to anybody and telling anybody my story because you know what? My story's strange. I mean, I have just got the strange. I've got drugs. I've got anger issues. I've got self-inflicted problems. And thing is, just remember, right now, I can look myself in the mirror and say, you know what, you're fine.
Yeah. And also, there are other people out there. My alcoholism,
Mhm.
I've
Yeah,
had issues in the past,
No.
terrible issues
I
in the
wasn't gonna
past.
bring that up.
Oh, I
Yeah.
bring it up
Yeah,
all
I know. Everybody knows.
Okay,
the time.
I
No,
won't.
but what's interesting though is because transfer addiction is a lot more common than I realized in having the surgery. So Victoria's alcoholism came as a result of the surgery, replacing the
Hmm.
food that you
The
couldn't have,
food, so they drink.
bring it into alcohol. My question for you is because you talked about it earlier in your history, you had anger issues, you had childhood trauma, you had drug issues and alcohol issues. And over time, a lot of those vices you were able to eventually eliminate and transferred it all into food before the surgery, which is why you had gotten as big as you did. So my question is, do you like have you ever gone back and dealt with those issues that you had in the past and like rectified it, or what do you do now to not create a new vice?
Interesting question.
I'm very
It's a very interesting question, and I'll give you the short answer.
okay.
Okay, I have my demons. I still have my demons. I fight with my demons every day.
Fair enough.
Okay, I don't. I don't like to project my issues. Victoria knows that very well. I keep my demons to myself. It's a struggle every morning to wake up at times. But I know that that's the only way my world keeps moving forward.
Okay.
Mm.
Leave it there.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
and you've said to me quite a few times, you woke up. you've woken up this morning. How good is that? And you're like, actually, yeah,
Yeah,
that is a good thing.
good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, I mean, I don't. I have always had an issue with opening up to anybody about my demons. That's what they
Mm.
are. They're mine.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. Yeah.
I hold them accountable at times. I actually have massive conversations with my demons at times. You
Mm.
know, and it's one of those things that I was I was raised not to bear my problems.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
I get that.
no matter what happens, no one's gonna really know what's going on in my head.
Right.
No.
You know,
Yeah, that's fair enough.
and Victoria knows this. I've stared with the devil in the pale
Yeah,
moonlight. I put the gun to my head.
I
I
know.
missed. And that's when I woke up.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized that what am I doing here and why am I here? And that's when I picked myself up off the ground and say enough is enough. And I
Mm.
started compartmentalizing my demons. And they come out eventually. And they
Yeah.
will
Mm.
and I I will never keep them completely in check, but I know how to put them away.
And I think
Mm.
that sets such a true testament to
True. Yeah,
who you are as a person and how
I
well
was just
you're
about
going
to
to
say
take
the
this
same.
journey compared to other people, because so often, like, none of us are immune to tragedy or like, some people have it far worse, growing up than others. But you went from hiding your emotions through vices or using vices to cover up pain or distract you from pain. And now you're not doing that. And even though you might not be, let's say, 100% cured of your past or like fully released it, you on a daily basis, you are consciously aware that I am not
Mm.
perfect, that I have issues, that I have demons, but you're consciously acknowledging that they exist, and you're making the decision every day to be stronger than them in some form, whether it's turning down a kind of food or a vice or a cigarette or a drink or whatever it is. You're making the conscious decision that I'm still a work in progress, but you are not going to take me down today.
No, no.
Yeah,
And here's in here
that's
in
true.
a very strange way of looking at it is that I embrace them. They are all a part of me. All those demons that are in my back of my head
Have
are a
made
part of me.
you.
They make me who
Mm.
I am today.
Yeah,
And the only thing that there's days the only thing that keeps me going is when I look myself in the mirror and I look at myself going, okay, you're fine,
yeah,
Yeah.
you're all right.
and then walk away from it, and then that'll be the end of
Yeah,
the conversation with it. I mean, I could be, work could be crap. Come home and just having really a horrible day. Just find something that I can do that I can just kind of turn it off for a second, and
yeah,
it is what it is. But
yeah.
I think ultimately, if you can't embrace your demons will still constantly hammer you.
Mm.
And I think ultimately that is a journey that is hard to
Mm.
explain, you know,
Yeah.
and hard to justify, I guess. But it's one of those
Mm.
things you have to do what you got to do. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, and you shouldn't have to justify either. It is what it is. And if you can deal with it like that, that's incredible.
It
yeah,
is.
no,
Incredible. You know that. You know how I feel.
I know you do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love you.
yeah,
Aw, aw, barf, barf. It's so sweet.
yeah.
Mm.
But I think one true advice to somebody that goes through this
That's
is
the
that
next question.
don't
Oh,
don't don't expect everything, because it's not going to happen.
Mm.
And this is the one thing with and Victoria knows I work with adults with developmental disabilities. Okay, that's my job, and everyone has all these grandiose goals and grandiose things. It's never about the bigger goals. It's all about the smaller victories.
Mm.
And if you can keep gaining small victories, they turn into the larger goals. So don't worry about, when I first started it, I was 625 pounds. I mean, 325 pounds was like way. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm at 351 pounds a
Yeah.
year and a half later. Is
You
that
never would have thought
325
that.
pounds in a goal? And I will give Bariatric, my app that I use, a little bit of credit because it broke down the weight loss goals to like 25, and every 25 pounds, oh, you hit this goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but and again, that bigger goal kept like staring you in the back of the head, and it's just like, oh god, but um just learn the small goals are the key to this, and the success of
Mm-hmm.
this is small goals.
Mm.
Can you tie your shoes straight?
Yes.
You actually tie a bow, because hell, there was
Put your
times I
socks
couldn't
on.
even tie my shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and now I can actually reach down and touch my toes, without like having like wanting to pass out. you
Mm.
know,
Yeah.
but again, I mean, it's those small victories that you have to keep
Yeah.
as your trophy, because if you
Yeah.
don't, it's gonna just overwhelm you.
Yeah.
But again,
Drive you mad.
It's so funny that you say that,
Yeah.
Mike, because I remember talking to people about NSVs, because having people I didn't know what an NSV was, and they're like, "Oh, like tying your shoes in the middle," and I'm like, "What are you talking about, tying your shoes in the middle?" And they're like, "Well, when you're obese and the way that you put your leg on your thing, you can't tie it physically in the middle. If you're always tying your shoes to the side." I'm like, "What the f is that?" And I looked down, and my shoes were tied to the sides, and I'm like, "Son of a bitch, what the hell?" And I was
yeah,
like, and all of a sudden, it was one of those things that I just never put two and two together. So one of my goals is like, well, I want to tie that shit in the middle now. Like,
and I know this is a TMI, but my biggest goal was to be able to wipe my own butt
Yeah.
yeah,
clean.
Yeah.
Not to have like brown stains on your underwear because you can't wipe
Yeah.
your butt
Yeah.
clean. I mean, you know what? I can wipe my butt clean now. I'm happy.
Yeah.
like,
Woo!
especially when it comes to I don't think there is TMI when it comes to bariatric, because
No.
so many of us are so embarrassed to like bring up certain things or like talk about things, and then until you realize that other people are going through it too, it's more
That's the
liberating.
thing.
Yeah.
Again,
Well, and
they
the sad
want to
thing,
hear this.
like Victoria knows that I don't really pull a lot of punches. I'm trying to be really nice on here because I don't. I know this
I was
is
going
a
to say,
public
you're being very
forum,
good.
so I'm trying to be a proper gentleman, as Victoria would say. Yeah.
I love it. And then, so one of the last questions I wanted to ask you before we were done today is, how has your relationship improved since both of you have gone through this together?
We're a lot closer in the sense that we both understand each other's goals. I think we it made it a lot easier to transition from watching what we eat, what we don't eat, not bringing certain foods into the home. And there is no, well, I want pop. I
Mm.
want chips, and then you eating it in front of that other person because both of us couldn't eat it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it it helped, kind of made us more of a team, because
Mm.
every goal she hit,
Excellent.
I was there to support. Every time she would have a setback, I was there to support. And same with her to me. Every time there was a goal hit, oh my God, that's awesome, hon. Or hey,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? Maybe we need to like cut this out. You know what I mean? And we both keep ourselves in check.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately that is how we're going to succeed long term, because we keep each
Mm.
other in check.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know, like with you, Victoria, and Stu. I mean, Stu keeps you in check.
Yeah. He does.
Because Stu will make fun of you.
Yeah. He does.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's again, our relationship is always going to be a work in progress. It's never going to be,
Yeah.
there's going to be days that one of us will rub each other the wrong way, but that's just life.
That's
I mean,
normal.
but that's
That's
normal.
That's normal.
But I've always learned, the one thing that my dad, who used to pay, we all know about my background with my
You
dad,
did.
but the one thing that would always irritate him to the most max is that he could beat the crap out of me for 20, 30 minutes, bruise me, beat me up. But 20 minutes after that, I'd be like, hey, Dad, want to go throw the ball? My dad could not stand that because I could just push it off to the side and call it a day because that's
Yeah.
who I
Oh,
am.
shit.
And I think that's some of my other demons that come out. But
Yeah.
but
Shit,
I'm
him.
able to kind of push things off to the side, call it a day.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Ultimately, the next minute, you could be dead. Why be angry all day?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Which is what you've taught me.
yeah, you can't be angry all your life. You just can't.
Mm.
No, I
Yeah,
can't.
it's true.
Victoria, did you have anything that you
No.
wanted
No, I think we'll call that a wrap. But I just wanted, oh, Mike, thank you so much. I really appreciate, you've really got into it as well.
You're
So,
fine. No, I appreciate. No, it's not a big deal. I know.
yeah,
I'm cool with what I'm cool with being open. You know that. I mean, I'm just
yeah,
that's just me.
yeah.
I
But
know,
no,
it's
fantastic.
kind of nice to just talk to a bariatric dude for once.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
wait till you talk to Mark. Mark's an interesting cat.
Oh, yeah, Mike's good as well.
Yeah, Mark,
Yeah.
not Mike.
Yeah, Mark, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I
I love
think
that.
Yeah,
Lisa.
Mark's a
I think Lisa
cutie.
called me Mark for like the first like 4 or
Oh,
5
she
episodes.
did. She
Yeah.
did.
He's like, "Oh my God, honey, what are
Oh
you
my
doing, Mark?" And I
goodness.
and
And
I
we're all
I
going,
just let it go because I
Mike.
knew she was just she was trying to be nice, and I was like, "Yeah, it's all right, don't worry about it."
I love
And we were like going, Mike.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
they'd be like, "Hey, Mark, how you doing?" And they'd be like, "Mike."
Mike.
Oh my
I'd be
gosh.
like, "I'm doing fine. How are you?"
That's funny.
You ladies have a good one, and I enjoyed
Yeah.
this, and
Thank you very
I hope
much.
I was informative enough for you guys.
Oh, yeah, no, totally. And I really
Great.
like the fact that you were advising sort of anybody else what to expect, or, like, don't do this. I think that's good as well to
Yeah,
to give
yeah.
advice to
And that's what I try
newbies.
to, and the thing is that, and I'm not one of those people that, somebody will say, well, what can I be eating at, week 3? And I'm like, my theory is that I don't know what their doctor wants to do. Cause I know a lot of doctors say at week 3, you could be eating regular food.
Different.
And then there's doctors that, like my doctor is
Yeah, they're
week 3
different.
was puree.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I was puree.
I usually will be the one person that says, you know what? Don't listen to anybody else in this chat room. Go call your surgical team.
Right.
Yeah,
Find out what they're looking for.
Because
Making
every
sure
program's
that
different.
because I
what
would
they
I
say.
would rather them make a phone call because those phone calls are free.
Mm-hmm.
They don't charge you for
Mhm.
those.
Mhm.
Hey, what else should I be eating around there? And I'm like, yeah, okay, we can do that. Oh, okay, thanks, appreciate it. Click.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
usually the charge nurse you're talking to anyway. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
but
agree. Yeah, I
It's true.
agree.
but other than that,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thank you very much.
Not a
Awesome.
problem. You
So much.
ladies have a good one.
I shall speak to you later.
Yeah, talk to you later. All right, bye.
Bye.
Bye.